Well, hello, Toreros far and near. It is Monday, October 4th, 2021. And tonight it's a little bit overcast, a little bit rainy here in Monrovia, California. And I hope you all are doing very, very well. And this is a little departure from my normal weekly video. I'm actually only going to do one video with the PowerPoint slides in lieu of an weekly intro video. I think because I don't have a lot to say today or about this week. So if I could just combine them into one video, let it go at that. And so off we go. I want to talk a little bit about the meetings that we've had so far, our little one-on-one Zoom meetings. They've been very enlightening for me, I have to tell you. Hopefully they've been equally, I wouldn't say scintillating, but they've helped you to focus a bit more on, where this literature review is taking you. And as I've mentioned to many of you, the literature review is it's a sentient being. It's a living, breathing animal, if you want to call it that. Because it's ever evolving. Literature comes in, literature goes out, literature comes back in, literature goes back out. So it's, as you're formulating your arguments, as you're, explaining and defining and qualifying this, that, and the other thing, it's really about, making the literature that you find, making it fit somewhere, if it fits somewhere. If it doesn't fit, taking it back out again. So it's up until you've published your dissertation on ProQuest, it's the literature review is going to evolve. Once it goes, once up to the point where you send it off to ProQuest, everything literature is fair game. Once it goes to ProQuest, static, never to be changed again. So, this is an opportunity to, to really work with the literature and add it, subtract it as the case may be. Okay, so I've also was talking, and some of you have felt a little bit overwhelmed with, I've got all this literature. How do I deal with it? Well, let's simplify things by let's have a rule. And let's say that look at literature only from the last 10 years. Okay, give yourself a 10-year time period, 2021 back to 2011. Okay, 10-year time period, because everything prior to 2011 will probably be included in the past 10 years worth of literature. So it doesn't make any sense to go beyond that. I mean, some people even say, well, just 5 years is fine. Just look at the literature, 5 years, the most recent literature. I think 10 for us is a good kind of a point of departure. Okay. So don't worry about anything really, before 2011, unless it's a seminal work. It's like the most important work in the body of literature that you're looking at. But I would pretty much say 10 years is a good rule of thumb to follow, to keep your literature kind of focused in, so you're not like worried about, trying to incorporate all this stuff. Pardon me while I have a little Tempranillo. Very good. Usually I don't like to drink on the job, but it's after hours, and I think a little wine is merited. So anyway, be that as it may, 10 years worth of data. This week, it's just a work week for you. After this is, I should have said that we're entering week 6, because week 6 is basically, it's a work week. There's no assignments to turn in. There's some reading. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Suggested readings. But basically, this is time for you to focus in on on your work, on your lit review, you've got an outline. All right. So now it's time to start filling in that outline. Take that step. Okay. You've got the first, you've got to focus, right? The direction this is going to go in. So let's start at the top and start getting that literature and start moving it, finding it and putting in and moving it around to where it needs to go. And if you met with V, don't be afraid to meet with her again. Okay, it's good. It's good to meet with V. The more you meet with V, the better it is. Because when you look at your kind of your final outline, you'll see, you've got literature for some of that, for some of the literature that, some of that outline to kind of fill it in. But if you don't have literature, you're not sure where to go, contact V. Send her a copy of your outline, right? Send her a copy of the outline and say, okay, I've got literature for this, that, and the other thing, but I'm looking for literature on this, that, and the other thing, or those other things, as the case may be. So that's always that's a good kind of a good rule of thumb. But let's go, since I'm kind of don't have a lot to tell you. Let me share my screen with you. I'm going to go to the PowerPoint and then talk a little bit about the readings, the suggested readings, and then more about this week and something I want you to consider. So hold on a second here. Let's there we go. Let's go to this sharing. I'm getting better at this, aren't I? There we go. All right. Let's see if we can get this. Okay, where's the slideshow? From the beginning, from the top. Okay, here we are at week 6. Can you believe it? It's hard for me to believe that we're in week 6. It's hard for me to believe we're in October. So where does the time go? That's what I want to know. All right, so our this week is from October 6th, Wednesday through Tuesday the 12th. And so the suggested readings this week, this is more a week about writing and editing. And we talked about being your own most critical editor, and that I hope that's become a habit. Okay, I hope you're really taking that to heart and making it, part of the way that you undertake your writing. Okay, that you're always reading and revising, reading, revising. Okay, but this week it's about our friend Strunk and White. Let me see if I can find our friend Strunk and White. I know he's here somewhere. I know they're here somewhere. Our friend Strunk and White. Yes, Strunk and White. This is a great little book, and it's very anecdotal, and it's very easy to read, and it's not very long. But we all need. Again, this is the reason why the readings this week are suggested, is because this is a reminder of the things that we don't necessarily pay attention to when we're writing. We think we've written all these papers, we've published all these works, et cetera, but we tend to overlook some of the most critical, basic elements of writing, of good writing. And so Strunk and White it was written a long time ago. Okay, it was written a long time ago, I think 1912 or something like that. But all the same rules apply. So it's a good refresher for you if you're thinking about, you're wondering, well, what about what about grammar? What about spelling? What about punctuation? When do I use italices and all this kind of stuff? Well, Strunk and White is the way to go. And my favorite chapter is the last chapter, An Approach to Style. Let me just kind of tell you what's in chapter 6, because I think it's fun. Or chapter 5. I'm sorry, chapter 5. This ties in very much to something we read in Ridley. I can't remember exactly which chapter it was, but in Strunk here, an approach to style, they talk of this is more of a list of reminders of things, how to make, if you were going to read any one chapter in Strunk, read chapter 6, read chapter 5. Okay. It's just reminders of things that we need to pay attention to when we're writing. Place yourself in the background. Remember we talk about, sort of being a critical writer, but being objective, right? So you put your voices in the background of your writing. Write in a way that comes naturally. Yeah, which is your voice. Okay. Everyone, the more you write, the more you find your voice. Working from a suitable design. Well, you have a design. You've got your outline. Okay. So it's, that's kind of the way you're going to, is kind of what you have to follow. So you have a design, you kind of know the way you're going to write, what you're going to write, the literature that you need to find. So that's what that speaks to, I believe. Write with nouns and verbs. Well, it's kind of hard to write without them, right? But I always like writing in like with action verbs, like the ing, like I'm going to the store, I'm coming from the store, I'm reading from Strunk and White, what have you. But I like using the action verbs, one, because it cuts down on the amount of words that you need. Okay, but it's also because it also is more compelling to the reader. Let's see, we're nouns and verbs. Here's part 5 of chapter 5. Read and it says revise and rewrite. Where have you heard that one before? Do not overwrite. Do not overstate. Which means that don't belabor a point. Get to the point. Move on. Okay. Avoid the use of qualifiers. Well, that's always a good. That's always a good one. Do not affect a. I like Strunk and White because they're very, very down to earth. Do not affect a breezy manner, which means be serious about what you're writing. You're academics, so write in an academic way. Don't write in a familiar way. You're not using colloquialisms. You're not using idiomatic expressions. You're writing in a very more formal, stylized, technical way. Okay. Let's see. Use orthodox spelling, which means don't make up spelling. Follow the conventions of spelling. Don't make up spellings for words. Do not explain too much. Well, I like explanations, and I guess if you're trying to explain something, don't keep belaboring the explanation. Explain what you have to say. Explain in a way that's easily understood. The reader can understand it. Move on to the next point. Do not construct awkward adverbs. I have no idea what that means. Make sure the reader knows who is speaking. Well, that's kind of obvious because your name is going to be on it. So there you go. Not use dialect unless your ear is good. Avoid fancy words. I'm not sure exactly what fancy words are. Remember, this is written in 1912, so take that with a grain of salt. Be clear. Oh, I like that one. Be clear because, be clear. Don't obfuscate. Be obfuscating. Just be very clear about things. And I think that pretty much covers. It says do not inject opinion. That makes sense. Do not take shortcuts at the cost of clarity. Good. Avoid foreign languages. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Prefer the standard to the offbeat, which is, just write. In other words, write in a very academic, scholarly way. Okay. So chapters. If you read anything, read chapter 5. It's whimsical in a way. It's fun reading, and it won't take you very long. So Again, these are suggested readings, reference readings. If you've forgotten about rules of usage, principles of composition, matters of form, or commonly misused words and expressions, do read it again. However, let me just say this, in the APA Chapter 6, Mechanics of Style, it basically covers everything in Strunk and White. They talk about, and really, if you're going to pay attention to anything, it's punctuation, spelling, capitalization, italics, abbreviations, and numbers. When it comes to statistical and mathematical copy, presentation of equations, you're not quite there yet, so you can just forget about that. And then list. This is interesting because I forget. If I have a list, if I say John, Jane, Joe, George, and Steve are going to the fair, right? Do I use commas or do I use semicolons? Well, interesting enough, if you have 3 or more names, then you use commas. I was always under the impression I would use semicolons. However, but if you have multiple lists that have commas, then you something, and something, and then you have another list in the same sentence, then you would separate them by semicolons. Who knew? So anyway, that's, again, I was being kind of funny about Strunk and White, but it's a really good read. If you don't have time to get to any of this reading, that's not a problem. Okay. Just last week I suggested Ridley I had suggested Chapter 6 Ridley last week. And then I said, well, no, you really need to read it. So, but these are just reminders to us all about, how the best ways to write. Now, the assignment for the week, as I mentioned, this is a working week for you. It's time to fill in your outline, and I call it me time. Okay, it's work. So basically, what I'm telling you is work and make progress on your literature review. Set aside at least an hour per day, ideally at the same time in the same place, to craft your literature review. It's like being habitually, being your own most critical editor. That becomes a habit. The same thing with writing a lit review, or any writing for that matter. If you just set aside, and I know it's hard if you've got families and partners and things that you have to attend to, classes and teaching and administrating and all that kind of stuff. It really is hard to set aside that time for yourself, but you really need to get through this, and to get through a dissertation proposal, and to get through a dissertation, you got to start. This is the time now to get into the habit of setting aside that time and that place, okay, where it's inviolate, you're not being disturbed, making people understand that this is important to you. And if it's important to you, then it should be important to them. Okay, I can't always guarantee that, but theoretically, that's the way it should be. So again, setting, and I'm telling you that it works, because I've done this before. I set aside a time, place, don't disturb me, got things to do. Okay, so it's me time, and it really does work. Continue, and as I said before, when you're filling in you've got literature that you looked at already, you've got this idea about where it might go to fill in your outline, okay? But if you're looking for literature, you don't have all the literature you need, continue working with V and finding that literature, and if you've already met with her, that's great. This is not a one-off. This is a continued relationship. And if you've already met with her and you haven't sent me your 1-paragraph synopsis, please do so this is Monday, so do it by the end of close of business tomorrow on Tuesday. Again, if you have questions, you want to chat, let me know via email, and we'll definitely set up something. It's the purpose of these meetings. Pardon me. Let me have a little more of that. Excellent Chilean wine. The purpose of these, I mean, the one-on-one meetings was to help you. I guess we can stop sharing. Stop sharing. So the purpose of these one-on-one meetings, one is to get you focused. Okay. And the reason why I had you do an outline is to start the process of focusing down on this bodies of literature you're going to look at. So that's part of it, is to get you to kind of, there's all you all have interesting ideas and thoughts and questions, from your professional life, from your your academic work, your classwork, and that's all great. But now it's time, because time is of the essence, that you should, all that other stuff is extraneous noise. Your outline is your point of departure, and that's where you must focus your efforts. Okay, so that's part of my thinking behind these one-on-one Zoom meetings, is to get you to talk about that focus, talk about things that I think might be added, sequencing. It basically gets to talk about where you are in your process, and then kind of move you along that that path. But also, I was telling somebody, maybe I told more than multiple somebodies, that partly because I like to teach, but I don't get to be in a classroom because of this asynchronous course structure. So for me, it's like one-on-one teaching. I do get to do a little teaching because that's what I really enjoy. But asynchronously, it doesn't quite work out that way. I can't be in a classroom. I can't see you 3 hours a week, plus informally around the department and office hours and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of the next best thing. So I'm a little, partly I'm a little selfish, because I like to be with you all, and I like to teach, and I like to talk to you and chat about your, find out about your interest in your ideas. And and these meetings are very enlightening to me, because they're, I'm going to be learning things that I wouldn't necessarily learn otherwise. I might may not be a pressing need or an interest to find these things out, but through you, I'm going to find out a lot of things I wouldn't necessarily know, and that's always a positive. It's always an added benefit to when you teach, you learn, right? So I get to, and because the way I've set this course up, set up for 3 Zoom meetings throughout the semester, so I get to meet with you more, and it's always a good thing. And I think it's good to have a good rapport and relationship. And part of my role is, I always think of us as being colleagues. I just happen to have gotten my PhD a longer time ago, but here I am, kind of to help you facilitate this process, to get you to transition you from your, as I mentioned, transition you from your coursework, to scholarship. And that's where we are right now in the course. You're moving now towards your solitary academic journey. But it's, part of it is, me being there to guide, mentor, and coach you along the way. I mean, I just know a few things, not much, but a few. And so my job is to impart whatever I know, what little I know, I'm trying to impart to you. So let's think of this process as that way, me just giving you a guiding hand, and my insights and expertise and things of that nature, and whatever content knowledge I might have. So there you go. One thing that the last week's video, which you'll notice that I'm only using Zoom, because last week I did the intro video with YouTube, and then I did the PowerPoint with Zoom. And I was talking at the end of the Zoom, the YouTube video, the weekly intro video. I was telling you about the posters behind me, which you see on a fairly regular basis, and I wanted to tell you about that. And so, just in brief, I am a 1/1800th owner and shareholder of Lewis Football Club, and I had always wanted to own an English football club, one especially that's grounded in the community, has community-based values, one that pays its women and men's team members equally, and Lewis Football Club serves that purpose. So anyway, what you see behind me are match posters. I don't know if you can see how well you can see, but there's all kinds of match posters from from the club in past years. So anyway, that's showing my support of the Lewis Football Club, which in Lewis, if you don't know, it's in southeast of England. It's the market town of East Sussex, and it's about 7. If you go by miles, about 7-8 miles from it's northeast of Brighton, so they're kind of situated along the coast, southeast coast of England. So there you have it. That's my little thing. I love football, and so like I said, always wanted to be an owner, and now I get to be an owner. It's very, it's not like I don't get any return on my investment. I get to be an owner of a football club, and it's all I ever wanted to be, and now I am. So anyway, that's it for now. I think, I think that's it. I don't have anything much more to say, and then I will get this out to you as soon as I possibly can. You'll be able to find it. I'm going to email it to you, and you'll be able to find it in Blackboard content. Oh God, I hope you're able to access Blackboard content. I hope I didn't screw it up so much that you can't get to it. Again, use the discussion board, use the blog, talk amongst yourselves. I know it's really hard to, when you're all so far apart, it's hard to find time to be together. But I think it's important to share your process and your journey with other people. So use the discussion board, use the blog. I still have no word on our TA, or I don't know where this person is and when this person is going to be. So stay tuned. I think hopefully soon. Because I would really like to have turn it in, or whatever turn in your assignment function there is, be available to you. It's nice that I appreciate you emailing it to me, but I'd like to be able to provide some feedback on it. That's, remember last time I taught, we had turn in, I was able to do like a little video or a little audio feedback thing, which is good to have. So anyway, that is it for the 4th of October, 2021, the beginning of week 6, the beginning of serious me time, serious time for drilling down and focusing in and starting to write, remembering and following the writing conventions, looking at Strunk and White and APA chapter 6. And being your own most critical editor. Okay. So remember, being parsimonious, fewer words the better, using action verbs, writing in your own voice. Okay, finding your voice and writing in it. And so I think that's it. I said that like 10 times, that this is it, and I keep going. So I'm going to shut the hell up now and leave you to it. Have a great week. And if you need anything, just let me know. And for those of you who are in San Diego, I will be touring. I will be on tour next week. I will be in San Diego at a Mother Rosalie Hill Hall near you. So for you, like for some of you, I've set up meetings for next week on campus. So if you want to, and for anybody else who hasn't had a meeting set up, you want to set a meeting up on campus, let me know. Otherwise, you can stop by. I'll be either in the set up in the conference room, or I'll be in Fred Galloway's office. So one way or the other, I'll see y'all next week. All right. Take care. People in San Diego, I'll see. Otherwise, I'll see you on Zoom. All right, everyone. Take care. Ta-ta.